Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be analyzing one of the strangest passages in the Bible, and I'm going to call it the Battle of the Angels. We're going to have Israelite angels fighting against Persian and Greek angels. If that doesn't interest you, you're probably on the wrong channel. For those of you who are still with me, buckle up, this is going to be a weird one. But before we begin, can I take a moment to thank my patrons who make these videos possible? Remember, the goal of this channel is to create a library of videos that objectively analyze the Bible. If that's something you consider important, please consider becoming a patron today. All right, back to the content now. So in the past 30 so videos, we've been breaking down the prophecy of Daniel chapter 11, involving the kings of the north and the kings of the south. But how exactly did Daniel receive this prophecy? Who told him? Well, in chapter 10, a man clothed in linen, most likely the angel Gabriel, came to Daniel and gives him the prophecy. We read this in verse 2 of chapter 10, quote, "At that time, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 weeks. I had eaten no rich food, no meat or wine had entered my mouth, and I had not anointed myself at all for the full 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the first month, I was standing on the bank of the great river that is the Tigris. I looked up and I saw a man clothed in linen," end quote. So what we're told here is that Daniel has been fasting for 3 weeks, which is 21 days. And at the end of this 21 days, the angel Gabriel appears to him. And of course, Daniel is very afraid when Gabriel appears. We read in verse 12, "He said to me, 'Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words,'" end quote. Gabriel will now give Daniel the prophecy that we find in chapter 11. But before he does that, Gabriel first explains what took him so long. So I'm now going to ask a slightly odd question, and that is, why did it take Gabriel 21 days to arrive? What exactly was causing such a delay? Because in the text, Gabriel tells us that he wanted to come to Daniel from the first day that he set his mind to gain understanding. So if Gabriel wanted to visit Daniel from the first day he gained understanding, why is it exactly that Daniel had to undergo a 21-day fast? What exactly is going on here? Well, we're told why in the very next verse. It says, "But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me 21 days. So the reason for Gabriel's delay is because the prince of Persia, which is an angelic figure associated with the land of Persia, prevented Gabriel from coming to Daniel. And they fought for 21 days. And that's why Daniel's fast went for 21 days. All right, we then continue to read in the text. "So Michael, one of the chief priests, came to help me." All right, let's just pause here again. So now, coming to the aid of Gabriel is another Israelite angel, the angel Michael, and they are now both fighting against the Persian angel. So now while Michael is fighting against the Persian angel, Gabriel can now come to Daniel, and this is exactly what we read next. "And I left him there with the prince of the kingdom of Persia, and I've come to you to help you understand what is to happen to your people at the end of days, for there is further vision of those days." So what we're told here is that the angel Gabriel leaves Michael to fight the prince of Persia off to the side there, and he's now free to come give Daniel the prophecy of chapter 11. So that's really what's going on here. Hopefully I've explained that clearly. There's a lot of moving parts there. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of odd. Thankfully it stopped. But guess what? It gets even stranger, because in verse 20, Gabriel continues to talk. Gabriel says, "Then he said to me, 'Do you know why I've come to you?'" He's speaking to Daniel here. "Now I must return to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I'm through with him, the prince of Greece will come. But I'm to tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is no one with me who contends against these princes except Michael, your prince." End quote. Okay, hopefully you're enjoying this. Again, this is really quite strange. So Gabriel tells us he's going to go back and continue fighting with Michael against the Persian angel. But then the Persian angel will be defeated, and in his place will come a Greek angel. The text refers to him as the Prince of Greece. But again, these are angelic figures that they're fighting against. Again, this is all very odd. I really like what Miller writes in his commentary here. He writes the following, quote, "One of the strangest accounts in the Bible is now unfolded. The angel related that he was coming to bring Daniel the answer to his prayer, but was delayed because the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Finally, Michael, whose name means who is like God, one of the most powerful and important angels, one of the chief priests, came to the interpreting angel's aid." He continues to write, "Evidently, the reason that Michael became involved and not another powerful angel was that Daniel was interceding for Israel a nation especially entrusted to Michael's care, verse 21, end quote. Okay, I now want to break down what Miller is alluding to here, and that is, why is it that Michael appears as the angel? And the reason why is because the text presents Michael as the patron angel of Israel. So every angel has a nation. So Israel's angel is Michael, just as Greece and Persia have their own angels, as we've seen. Siao writes in his commentary, quote, Michael is portrayed simply as Israel's commander, fighting on their behalf against the patron angels of other nations and protecting the people of God. Every nation, it seems, has its own celestial counterparts to the earthly commanders, end quote. Newsom also writes, quote, the background for this concept is Deuteronomy 32, 8-9, the Song of Moses. The poem describes how the Most High divided the peoples according to the number of the sons of God, retaining Israel as his own portion, end quote. All right, I now want to break down what Newsom is talking about here, this Deuteronomy 32, because this is really going to help explain why is it exactly that each nation has their own angel. So let's bring up a map here to explain this. So each nation has their own angel. And this idea comes from Deuteronomy 32, which reads, quote, when the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of their peoples according to the number of the sons of God. But Yahweh's portion is his people, Jacob his allotted heritage, end quote. So this idea that every nation has their own angel is found in Deuteronomy 32. Now you might be asking yourself, this doesn't say angel, it says the sons of God. But the reason why we know that some people took this to mean angel is because in the Septuagint, so the Greek translation of the Old Testament, it translates the word sons of God as angel. So this is proof that some viewed this passage as saying that each nation has their own angel, which is what we see here in Daniel. Now, when these angels fight against each other on the supernatural dimension, it's reflected here on earth. So when Michael fights against the Greek angel, this is reflected on earth as the Maccabees fighting against Antiochus IV. As Collins writes, quote, as depicted in Daniel, the struggle between the Jews and the Seleucids in the Maccabean period is only the earthly reflection of the heavenly struggle between the patron angels, end quote. And this is where we're going to end this little video here. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Can I again encourage you to become a patron if you've enjoyed this video? And let me let you in on a little secret. If you've made it to this far into the video, so you've made it all the way to the end, you are statistically very rare. Most people do not make it here, which means to me that you probably are enjoying this content. So can I encourage you to consider becoming a patron? It would really mean a lot. If you do become a patron, you will receive access to all my full videos. And at the time of recording, that's quite a bit. So you're really getting a lot for your money. And you're also encouraging me to continue making this content, which I feel is very important. Of course, if you're not in a position to give, it's still very much appreciated if you hit that like button, leave me a comment, and hit subscribe. Remember, if you aren't in a position to give, but you really do want access to my full videos, just shoot me an email at thestudyofchristianity@gmail.com. No questions asked. I'll give you access to the full videos. But if you are in a position to give, please do so. It really does help this channel out. Thank you for watching until the end. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.